Okay, we are live, y'all. And as you can see, it is just me here because they are having a power outage in Sri Lanka. So Amanda just messaged me. Here she is! Yay! She told me she might be running late, but she's here. Yay!
Hi, Sarah.
Welcome! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy
Hi.
you're here. You have power.
I am so happy. I do. It was so touch and go there for a while. It was supposed to come back a half an hour ago, and I was just so stressed out.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so happy you're here. And clearly the gods are smiling on us because this worked. Yay, I'm so happy to have you. Welcome back, my friend. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're live, everybody. Thank you for all the hearts on Facebook. Okay, so we are live with Amanda Jayatissa, live from Sri Lanka, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, You're Invited, which is out tomorrow in the US, and y'all are invited to get the inside scoop. So if you remember, Amanda was here last year in September giving us the inside scoop on her brand new debut book, My Sweet Girl, which was named a most anticipated book by, oh wait, everybody. And then she flew to New York and won the best debut novel of the year award by the International Thriller Writers. And now she's back to give us the scoop about You're Invited. Amanda, I'm so happy to see you again. Tell us about this book.
First, thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here. It was, I think you're one of the few people that actually recorded what happened that night in New York, because I have no memory of it. I think I kind of blanked out when they announced the award. But yeah, I just have this like really vivid visual of you like cheering and like congratulating me afterwards. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, for having me on the show again. I'm just so excited to be here for the second time, which is amazing. So yeah, that's getting to You're Invited. It is about a woman who finds out that her ex-best friend, whom she hasn't spoken to in 5 years, is now marrying her ex-boyfriend. So understandably, she's feeling all the feelings, but the main feeling is that she has to stop this wedding no matter what the cost. So she flies back to Sri Lanka, her hometown, and where this extravagant, over-the-top wedding is taking place, and sets about on her plans. But, the bride ends up missing, is presumed dead, and the blame all falls on her, and she's got to prove her innocence. Whether or not she's innocent is a completely different story, but she has to prove her innocence and get out of this sticky situation before it's too late.
Well, just like that, you hooked us, Amanda, because honestly, what could be worse than your ex-boyfriend marrying your childhood best friend? I mean, already all of us are cringing. I'm actually sweating through my shirt just thinking of this nightmare and how heartsick and nauseous I would feel. And then, of course, she takes her fragile carriage in her hand, flies to Sri Lanka, and as you said, the bride goes missing. She wakes up with blood and bruises on her hands. Oh my God, what could go wrong? Oh wait, everything. So I can't wait to chat with you about every single thing. So as per usual, we are broadcasting live to 6 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. And we're so happy. So wherever you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It's Mystery Monday. And because Mondays can be murder, we're going to make it a little less painful for you. So if you have any questions for Amanda, get them going in the comments. I'll get them right over. Sherry is saying hi. Hi, Sherry. Welcome to the conversation. I love your profile pic of Stonehenge there. It's looking like, love that. Leslie joining us live from Canada, giving us her signature Canadian hello. Leslie, always a pleasure to see you pop up. Thank you. We have a mysterious fan joining us saying congratulations for becoming a Book of the Month pick. Amanda, congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us about that. How did you find out? How did you celebrate?
It was so wild because I I got the email. Oh, it's actually a really funny story. I got two emails. One, of course, from my editor and sort of the team at Berkeley, letting me know that this happened, and then another email from my agent, sort of clarifying a few of the logistical things from Book of the Month. But because of the time difference, I only check my email when I wake up in the mornings, and my agent's email was up first. So I looked at it, and she was like, oh, it's really about it being sort of an early release, and so she was clarifying some things for me. And I remember I replied back to her, and I was like, yeah, that's great. I mean, if I were to get selected, this is good information to have, but like, why are you telling me this? And then, like 10 minutes later or so, because then my dogs ran into the room and I had to take them down, and all of that. So it was like only 10 or 15 minutes later that I went through the rest of my emails, and I was like, oh, wait, what is this real? It was just like mind blowing. It was really, really exciting and cool to see just the book in the hands of so many readers, and then to have people tag me on like their social media posts and things like that. It was just wild because the reach was just unbelievable. I am so grateful. Like, thank you so much to Book of the Month for picking me, because this has just been an absolute dream come true. It was wild.
Yay! Well, congratulations on this dream come true, and so many dreams come true. I was so happy to be in person at Thriller Fest and to be able to cheer for you as you took the stage as the winner. It was just so wonderful to see you rise and thrive, Amanda. You're so talented, and I'm so happy to see you rising and taking the world by storm.
Oh,
Hooray!
thank you for all your support.
Christina is saying that it's her. Yes, Christina, Bookstagrammer extraordinaire. She is a politically read girl on Instagram, and she says she's the one who is celebrating your Book of the Month news. Congratulations. Thank you, Christina. Oh, we have Bookstagrammer Stephanie Cooper joining us live. She said, I have been wanting to read this one. Stephanie is at Fire Pit and Books on Instagram. She loves her good thrillers. Stephanie, so great to see your name pop up here. Welcome. Someone's watching with us from Texas saying they're so excited to read this one. Well, we're so excited for you to read this too. Patricia saying she ordered it from Book of the Month and will be reading it reading it soon. Yay, Patricia, keep us posted what you think. Sherry says, I love the cover. Did you get to pick it? So I'm going to hold it up really close. So this looks like a wedding invitation. It's an actual envelope, and then you're opening up the envelope, and here is the invitation that we are invited to this glamorous wedding in Sri Lanka. So give us the scoop on the cover. Did you get to pick it?
Well, I'm always really sort of kept in the loop when it comes to covers, which I am so grateful for. The team at Berkeley are fantastic about that. The cover was designed by Emily Osborne, who actually designed the cover for My Sweet Girl as well. So I was absolutely thrilled to have her do this one also, because I love both covers so much. Usually with covers, you get a few options and you go back and forth a little bit. I remember, again, it was the middle of the night, because I get all my publishing emails in the middle of the night. And I remember I was in bed and I reached over and I checked my phone and I saw this and I just sat straight up in bed and I was like, oh my God, it's perfect. I loved it so much. I love the colors. I love that. So that's the actual Mount Lavinia Hotel in the background, in sort of that you can see in the distance, which is the hotel where the wedding actually takes place, and also the hotel where my husband and I got married. No dead bodies at that one, thank goodness. But yeah, I was just absolutely blown away. I love it. I've been getting so many compliments about the cover, and I wish I could take some credit for it. All I did was say, like, I absolutely love it and give it 2 thumbs up. I can't take credit for it, but I am very thankful and very grateful that I have had just 2 beautiful covers.
Yay. And so fun that you get to keep, that you have the same cover designer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wonderful to hear that you loved it right away, and that they do keep you in the loop, because we've heard some horror stories where people don't get to be kept in the loop and they don't love their cover.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wonderful that you did. And I agree. It's absolutely perfect. I did not know that that was the actual hotel, but I have been Googling the Hotel Lavinia because I wanted to see it, and oh my God, it's gorgeous sitting on this
So
cliff
beautiful.
overlooking, because I didn't know if it was you had imagined the setting, or, and it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I suggest everyone Googles it because it's really gorgeous. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that your husband and you got married there. I love that.
Yeah, it's wild. We the Mount Lavinia Hotel is actually really cool. There's a ton of really amazing history about the hotel. It was sort of we had this British governor named Thomas Maitland in Ceylon at the time, back in the colonial days, and this was actually his house. And so the story has it, or legend, as you will, says that he fell in love with a local dancing girl whose name was Lovina, and he actually has, apparently, we don't know if this is true or not, but apparently there's a secret passage from his house, so now the hotel, leading to her house, which was a little ways away, but in that sort of similar region. And Mount Lavinia Hotel is named for her. That whole town is named Mount Lavinia, and it's named for Lovina. Um, which is just the coolest story. And of course there are like the ghost stories around that. Some people still say they can hear her walking around at night. And I mean, I've stayed there a few times. I'm pretty sure that's not true, but it's a really cool story.
Whoa, that is a really cool story. Are the ghost stories in the new wing or the old wing? Let's give us the
Oh,
scoop on that.
it's
In the
all in the
old.
old wing. And yeah, so the story goes, so traditional dances in Sri Lanka, they wear these anklets, like ankle bracelets with little bells on them, so that when they
Mhm.
do their like steps, you can hear the bells jingle. So the story of the ghost story is that in the night you can hear these footsteps with the bells sort of tinkling, walking down the corridors in the old wing. But like I said, I've
Whoa.
stayed there. Like we stayed there on our wedding night. We didn't hear it, so hey.
I would be, my ear would be to the door listening for those little bells. Oh my goodness, I would be here for it. Well, Amanda, this book is earning all sorts of incredible praise. Greer Hendricks, the #1 New York Times best-selling co-author of The Wife Between It, absolutely loved it. And let's pop up her review right here. So she says, filled with kaleidoscope twists and turns, I could not turn the pages fast enough in this delicious follow-up to My Sweet Girl. When Amaya receives an invitation to the lavish Sri Lankan wedding of her ex-boyfriend and her ex-best friend, her decision to attend is only the first mystery at the heart of this unput downable thriller. Fabulous words there. Greer and her writing partner Sarah have also been on the show. Sarah Pekkanen. So Amanda, now you're 2 books in. You've won, the debut book of the year award from ITW. What have you learned? Sorry, the award for best first novel. What have you learned about how to write an unput downable novel? What do you think the secret is to writing a book that will keep Greer
Hello.
Hendricks up all night? Oh wait, can you hear me, Amanda? So the question is, what is the secret to writing an unput downable novel? Oh no, I think we've lost audio here. That's okay. We're having some power outages. Let's see if Amanda can see this. Oh yay! Marion saying she just ordered My Sweet Girl and she will begin listening after this chat. Marion, thank you so much for ordering it, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Okay, Amanda is having a power outage in Sri Lanka. She will be right back. Trust me, she is determined, and she'll be hopping right back on with us. Marion, thank you for your comment. And Christine is saying, yeah, the ghost story is so scary, right? Yikes on that. I would definitely be listening for those little dancer ankle bells, wondering if the ghosts were coming to us. While we're waiting for Amanda to log back on, I want to share some of the amazing praise that this book has got. So Mary Kubica, who's also been on the show, she also wrote a rave review. She said this book is whip smart and expertly plotted with perfectly arranged clues and an explosive finale. This will have readers guessing who they can trust and who the real villain is in this wickedly good thriller. Rave review there. Christine saying she cannot wait for this book. Christine, it is out tomorrow. And good news, you can pre-order it today from our favorite independent woman-owned bookstore. And that is Murder by the Book. So I'm going to pop the link right here into the comments, and so you can pre-order it. I have to say, I am reading it and I'm thoroughly absorbed. So Amanda takes on a lot of issues in this book, including social media and sort of this perfectly curated world that many people create, and what it's like to be looking in on that perfectly curated world and seeing this beautiful woman, her ex best friend, with this perfect office and this perfect engagement ring and these perfect outfits and her perfect hair, and her outfits are amazing, and the feeling of watching Amaya scrolling through Instagram and both envious and also missing her, but sort of seeing what she has and Amaya doesn't. Very relatable, right? As we all scroll through Instagram, our little fingers are swirling. Christine saying, a wonderful news. I always order from Murder by the Book. Thank you so much, Christine. Thank you for supporting a woman-owned bookstore. And, I've come to think of every purchase as a vote for the world that we want to see, in terms of the stores we want to see survive, the books we want to see thrive, the authors we want to see write another book. So thank you for voting with your wallet and making this happen. Sylvia says she's watching from Omaha, new to her author, always exciting. Yes, so wonderful. So Sylvia, this is the second time that Amanda was on the show. She was on last year for My Sweet Girl, which just knocked it out of the park. I'm going to just pop up some of the amazing reviews that got. So it was a most anticipated book of fall 2021 by Entertainment Weekly, the New York Post, the Boston Globe, Fortune, Buzz, where Book Buzz, Goodreads, Shondaland, Pop Sugar, Bustle, Crime Reads, Book Riot, Crime Book, the Book, Nerd Daily. Hold on, that got cut off. I'm going to pop it up here. BuzzFeed, Bustle, the Every Girl, and more. So that book just took the world by storm. Amanda just won right. Thanks for all I love the surprise faces on Facebook. Just won the Best New Novel of the Year award by ITW, International Thriller Writers, and now she's back with You're Invited. And I think what I love about this book, is that it's so relatable, right? Because I've never been to Sri Lanka, but I can relate to the feeling of what it would be like. I mean, I can imagine what it would be like if my ex married my ex best friend. I mean, ouch, that hurts just to think about it, right? We can think about that and kind of feel that tug right here in our hearts. And again, other relatable things, like scrolling Instagram and heartbreak and loss and yearning for family. And on that note, the main character Amaya's mother ran off with a foreigner, and she was, a lot of people stopped speaking to Amaya and the rest of her family, and Amaya has sought community and tried to build a family out of friends. And I noticed that Amanda dedicated this book to her mom, who has passed. And when Amanda gets back online with us, I want to talk about that as well, because she said that she only had her for 22 years. She's dedicated to my mother, Kanisha, who encouraged me to be fearless, adventurous, and fun. Turns out I am none of these. None of these things, but I am eternally grateful that you are part of my life, even if it wasn't for as long as we both wanted. Oh, I have goosebumps. So I want to talk to Amanda about that. So we're just waiting to see if the power will come back. Meanwhile, I'm going to share some of these other amazing reviews. Andrea Bartz, New York Times bestselling author of We Were Never Here, which was a Reese book club pick. I'm going to pop this up. Likens this to Crazy Rich Asians' deranged, bloodthirsty sister. Who's here for that? Slick, twisted, and relentlessly juicy. Amanda's sophomore thriller, which I've learned means book number 2, is both a dizzying haul of mirrors, page turner, and a cutting examination of privilege, power, and complex female relationships. I couldn't put it down. Andy was on the show in September for her book, We Were Never Here, and I am loving this review and the comparison to Crazy Rich Asians. Oprah Daily says this story is deliciously messy, and messy it is. Amanda is back. Yay. Hi, Amanda.
I am so sorry. Hi,
It
I'm
is not-
so sorry.
No, it's not your fault at all. We've been just going through some of your amazing reviews, and you are just in time. You are just in time. So Oprah Daily is saying the story is deliciously messy. So in Amaya, we have a complex heroine dealing with some anxiety, a little bit of OCD, perhaps, an obsession with the time. So she likes numbers that are consecutive, that are have meaning to her. And actually, Amanda, if you're wrestling with bandwidth, sometimes it helps to take your video off, so you can still, you can take your video, you can turn your video off, and sometimes that still gives us the audio. Can you hear us?
Sure, I can hear you now. No, it's
Perfect.
sometimes when there are power cuts going on, the network towers have trouble adjusting. So that's why I am so sorry. This is
No. You're totally fine. And you're really lucky, because when my screen freezes, I usually have a face like this. Like, I never freeze looking cute. So
how did mine look?
You look gorgeous, because you are gorgeous, and your face is perfectly poised and looking elegant. You're you happen to be posing in a very beautiful way. So,
you're so kind. Thank you.
Sylvia is saying, hi, Amanda. She's watching from Omaha, Nebraska. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us. So let's talk about this review from Oprah Daily, talking about your deliciously messy book here. Let's talk about Amaya. So she's wrestling with some anxiety, maybe some OCD. Mm-hmm. She likes numbers. She can't get, she likes when the numbers either are repetitive or in order. So what's that about? But she also has a scandalous side where she likes to give up all control and meet an anonymous man in a hotel room. Ooh la la! Tell us about all of this, Amanda.
Sure. So Amaya is someone who's obviously been through a lot. Without really giving anything away, there are, at first glance, of course, she is incredibly messy, a little difficult to, I think, understand, and almost come to terms with, right? She's supposed to be this protagonist, but she doesn't really behave like one. And obviously, there's a lot going on in her mind in terms of her anxiety and, like you said, her obsessive compulsive tendencies and things like that. Hopefully, as the book progresses and you understand a little bit about what she went through, you would also come to terms or come to understand that a lot of that is just coping mechanisms that she has developed, probably not in the best possible way, but we do what we can do to get by, right? So these are just coping mechanisms that she's developed to kind of protect herself and keep herself from getting hurt in the way that she has in the past. And the interesting thing to me has been that I've actually had a couple of messages from women who've been through sort of similar scenarios to her, to what sort of she's maybe not to that extent, or maybe sort of things in that vein that have happened to them, in the past, telling me that they actually found her very relatable, especially in terms of the coping mechanisms and the obsessive compulsive tendencies, and her wanting to sort of give up control and all of those things. And so there is a little bit of an interesting tie in there. And I did, let's just say that she isn't the way she is just out of chance and just because I thought it would be, a bit salacious or whatever to draw her that way. I did put in quite a bit of thought about, trauma and coping mechanisms and sort of how that tied in. So, yeah.
Exactly. And Amaya's relatable for, I think probably in all books, we relate to the characters differently based on our own life experience.
Mm-hmm.
I myself have struggled with anxiety my whole life, and I found her anxiety very relatable. And, I have to do things like check to make sure the door's locked before I go to sleep. We all have different coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
I found that very relatable. I think people can also relate. I think, whether you have anxiety or OCD or what you've been through in your past, Amaya also is relatable to all of us in terms of her relationship to Instagram, her need to see right? Who hasn't been scrolling to see what's going on in someone else's life? And, late night checking to see what her childhood best friend is up to and what's going on. Tell us about your relationship to Instagram and your relationship to social media.
Oh, wow. Well, it's a new relationship. Let's put it that way. I'm not. It's actually very funny for me. I'm usually a very painfully private person, and I'm just not someone that's naturally sort of. I never got very caught up in the whole social media, I guess, storm that took place, especially I think because the rules changed a little bit from when it first started off. Because I remember, I was in university when Facebook came out, right? And then we were all like having Facebook accounts and adding everyone we knew. And it was very much like, oh, these people. And then, you're friends with I friended like everyone in my high school. I was friends with on Facebook, and then everyone in my my college, like we were all friends on Facebook. And then afterwards, I think when Instagram got a little more popular, it got a little less personal, right? It suddenly people are following you. If you so choose to, people are following you. You might not have met them before, and so it's an interesting sort of dynamic that's changed, and it was very, I think, a little harder for me to navigate than probably the average person like my age. But I more recently, with the books coming out and things like that, have found it just this amazing tool to connect with readers, because how else can you have conversations with people who read your book and just like want to message you and talk about it? And it's so amazing when anyone does that, and I love getting those messages, from people saying that they related to a character or they didn't see a twist coming. And that's just, it's amazing. It's so rewarding for me as a writer to hear that feedback almost in real time, because, back in the day, you didn't have that kind of access, right? So that's really, really cool. I try not to, I think, especially during like COVID and like the lockdown and everything, I had to set like time limits for myself, because I found myself like really getting caught up, and sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in like doom scrolling almost, right? And you're getting caught up in all this negativity. So I try to keep it as positive as possible on social media. I follow a lot of those, dog accounts where, you get like the cute puppies, like especially because I have 2 huskies. So like I follow like a ton of these husky accounts. And, like I think, and I was joking with my husband recently, I was like, our marriage mostly consists of he and I sending each other cute dog videos on Instagram. There's like, at least like 10 a day or something. It's like, hey, check this out. And then we like watch them together too. We're like, oh, did you see that? Yeah. I'm not very cool on social media, unfortunately.
You're very cool. Everybody, here's Amanda's social media. Give her a follow over here on Instagram.
Cute.
And yeah, I follow a lot of dog accounts too. I also follow the Dodo, and they have all these rescue animal videos and
Oh yeah.
happily
Oh,
ever afters.
I
Um,
cry. I cry I'm a big crier. So like I keep watching those Dodo videos and I'm like crying, and then I'm showing my husband and he's trying to hold it together, but he's a big crier too. So we're both just like, like watching these videos. It's yeah, it's very
exactly. And
heartwarming
positive
stuff.
or positive is the way to go on Instagram.
I love it.
Sherry's saying she can completely relate. She can be on social media and look up, it's an hour later and it feels like 2 minutes. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think some of the other things that I really related to that again, that Amaya is very relatable to, is about trying to find a community of friends and trying to create belonging, yearning for a sense of belonging and community and feeling seen,
Mm-hmm.
wanting her friends to know her and to be allowed to as an I think she's probably, I would describe her as an introvert. I know I'm an introvert. I think you're an
Mm-hmm.
introvert. And it's
Mm-hmm.
and she talks a lot about having to, if she's out at brunch, she's got to have time to recover because that energetic output of being on, and that
Mm-hmm.
felt very personal. Are you an introvert, Amanda? Does it take you time to recover after being social?
Oh, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
I and then it's very funny because it's not like I have a bad time when I go out and meet my friends. I love it. It's just I do need considerable downtime afterwards to just kind of, you know, center myself and things like that. It was really uh, I really did think with Amaya, it was so interesting for me to write about her because I feel as adults, it is very difficult to build meaningful relationships. And of course, she's lost ties with the sort of her core group that she grew up with and like who friends that she really considered to be her family, and something terrible
Mm.
happened and now she's trying to
Yeah.
rebuild. And you know, after you sort of, I feel, leave university or you're out, or maybe you're lucky you have sort of that first job where you can make a lot of friends, but I think after you're beyond that point it becomes very, very difficult to,
Mm.
you know, make new friends unless you are lucky enough to belong to a particular group like of writers or of other, you know, bookstagrammers, or you know, there's some sort of community that you can relate to and insert yourself into. If you're very much on your own, you can feel very, very lonely sometimes.
Mm.
And I think that's sort of what she's grappling with, along with the idea of this terrible friendship breakup, because I
Yeah.
feel that that's something that, you know, is not really discussed enough, like in this day and age, because you know, we talk about romantic breakups all the time, and romantic breakups are 100% acceptable. You know, you're expected to, you know, cancel your plans and sit on the couch and watch a romantic movie and eat a pint of ice cream, and your girlfriends will rally around you and tell you what a loser that guy was. And you know, that's very much an acceptable thing. But you know, when you break up with a friend or your friendship ends, sometimes that can be shatteringly terrible. But we don't really have a way of grieving, or we don't have a process to grieve those lost relationships. And that's very much what's happened between Amaya and Kavi's. They've lost this friendship that, you know, started when they were children. They went to school together, they went to college together, and then this terrible thing happens and they stop talking to each other, and they're both adrift and almost both mourning this friendship in a different way, and coping with it the way they know how. And I kind of wanted to talk about that because I feel that we just don't talk about it enough. And even for me, I mean, I have friends who are sadly not my friends anymore, and that hurt. Like a lot of the time, that hurt for me far more than any romantic breakup did. You know, so it's kind of coming to terms with all of that, which for me was a little cathartic as well. Sort of writing about it was something that I liked, that I liked, that I had the space to be able to do it.
Yeah, I loved that about your book. And I totally agree because we don't have a process or an expectation or a support network in place. We
Mm-hmm.
don't, we have all, I think, have friendships that have ended, and either we know why they ended and it's still a grieving process, or sometimes you're not even quite sure why they ended and it's still a grieving
Mm-hmm.
process, and trying to reconcile, and reach understanding, and
Mhm.
acceptance and grieve the loss. I love that you said that there's, that when we have a process for when a romantic relationship ends, that you are expected to stay home and grieve and eat ice cream and watch rom-coms. um, and you're totally right that we don't have that for for the friendship, and I loved that, because friendships, I mean, are so important in our life. They're just like any, they are a major relationship and a source of love and comfort and connection, and when that ends, of course there's grief involved. So I loved seeing Kavi, well, we don't really see Kavi, but seeing Amaya,
Mhm.
wonder what's happened to her friend and wonder what she's
Mhm.
doing. And because of course you're going to wonder about that person.
Yeah.
So I loved that. Leslie would like to know, what was the inspiration for this book?
Oh, great question, Leslie. So, I mean, as you can imagine, the idea came to me when I was actually at one of these over the top Sri Lankan weddings myself. I was sitting there, just admiring the entire thing, because really these are fantastic, fantastic events. The decor is beautiful. Cakes are usually these amazing, like, works of art. The couple looked fantastic. All the guests were dressed up, and everything was gorgeous, and lovely. And then, just by chance, I happened to look over at the groom's mother, and it was just for like a split second, but I saw this look just sort of wash over her face, where she just looked so frustrated and angry, just fed up. But it was just for that split second, and immediately she was like back to smiling and lovely, and kissing everyone and thanking everyone for coming. And it kind of got me thinking. I was like, I wonder how much actually goes on behind the scenes at these things that no one really gets to dig into, that no one really gets to see the inside scoop, right? And of course, the thriller writer in me that went, then, hey, like, what'll happen if we throw a dead body into the mix? Wouldn't that be fun? And yeah, and that's where the story, sort of where the idea took root. Really, I knew I wanted to write something at taking place at this big, over the top Sri Lankan wedding.
Wow, Leslie, thank you for this fabulous question that gave us this meaty, delicious answer. My goodness, I love picturing Amanda at this wedding and then seeing the groom's mother look murderous for a moment, but then back to being the mother of the
Mm-hmm.
groom. Ooh, tasty. I wonder what she was thinking. I wonder what was going through her mind. Leslie following up with saying, friendship breakups are devastating. They become like family, especially childhood friends. They know so much about you, secrets and are like family. Absolutely. And we see that with Amaya and Kavi.
Mm-hmm.
Amaya's not just grieving the loss of Kavi, she's grieving the loss of Kavi's
Mm-hmm.
family, who was like her
Yeah.
family, and she wanted that and she yearned for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, Leslie. Thank you for that. Amanda, this book has also gotten incredible praise. Crime Reads raving so much wedding drama. This is bound to be one of the best psychological thrillers of the year. Congratulations on that rave from Crime Reads. Absolutely amazing. And they were not the only ones. Shondaland also calling this the perfect summer thriller. Congratulations on that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I also love that Foders, the travel guide, said that this is my best friend's wedding-esque tale gone very, very wrong. Wicked and expertly plotted. We highly recommend bringing this one to your best friend's wedding or bachelorette party. So let's talk about that. Do you plot, Amanda? Or are you fooling everybody? Are you a pantser? Tell us about your process.
Definitely not a pantser.
Okay.
But not so much of a plotter that I did that once, where I sat down and I plotted every single point, like a chapter by chapter breakdown of what I was going to write. And then I never wrote that book because it just felt incredibly boring to me. So that's
Wow.
chilling in a drawer somewhere, or like a file on my computer somewhere. I usually, so I have this idea, right? So the idea could be, oh, like let's set a thriller at a wedding. Let's maybe talk a little bit about female friendships and like see how we can tie that in. Um, and so I'll have like, okay, that sounds cool, and then I um, try to have the main beats sort of planned out. So what I know usually going in is I will have a pretty good handle on what I want, the one big twist or the one big reveal. Um, so I usually have a good idea. I know what I want that to be. Um, and then I might plot a few other little mini twists and like a few other things. But sometimes, a lot of the time, actually, with My Sweet Girl and with You're Invited, the ending, the very last bit of the book, sort of after the big reveal, like those bits have changed, which I'm grateful for because I love the newer versions of everything, of course. But after all of that is done and I just know the main beats, then I sit down, and usually this takes a little bit of time. I start thinking about my main character and what type of voice I would like her, it's usually a her, I would like her to have. And I start almost journaling in her voice. And that's something that helps me to really get a handle on her mannerisms, her way of speaking. And I really usually want it to be as distinct as possible. And a big struggle that I had, for example, was after writing My Sweet Girl, the main character in that story, Paloma, has a very, very distinct voice, right? She is quite the character. And I was very, very nervous when I was writing You're Invited that
Yeah.
some of Paloma's character would leak in to Amaya's
Amaya.
voice.
Oh,
So I wanted to be very, very conscious of that. So I wanted, and the only way that I knew that wouldn't happen is if I really had a good handle and a good understanding of who she is, which is why the studies into her psychological profile, how she would deal with situations. I usually fill up like an entire notebook just writing even day-to-day things. 99.9% of that never makes it into the final novel, but I really like to be able to do that. It makes me feel a lot more confident going in and starting to write.
ooh, that's so interesting. I love that you journal in their voice and day-to-day stuff, filling even a whole notebook. Amaya owning a spice shop in
Mhm.
LA. Why a spice shop? What made you think of that?
Well, she's Sri Lankan. It probably
Hmm.
made sense for her to import spices from Sri Lanka and sell them in LA. It seemed like it seemed like kind of almost like a typical thing for a Sri Lankan to do, and also something that I have considered doing. I was like, oh yeah, you know what? Like, because we have so much access to amazing spices. Like, I don't know if you've heard about Sri Lankan cinnamon. It's the best in the world.
Ooh.
So yeah, so because of that, it makes sense to import stuff from Sri Lanka and sell it over there. And yeah,
I
and
love
Amaya being from the social class and the background that she was from, would easily have access to set up something like that without too much of an issue.
I love knowing that you yourself have considered heading into the spice business. Meanwhile, tantalizing us with spicy books, which I am here for it. Um, Amanda, I also loved how I've never been to Sri Lanka. I hope to get there one day, but I have
Hmm.
been to India and
Hmm.
Indonesia, and I loved how you incorporated powerful small nods and nuances to the trauma of post-colonialism,
Hmm.
both in terms of how even down to how people use their accents, either putting on a Western accent or actually having, an accent, um, and how that, and how that enables them to have certain opportunities or perceived in a certain way, or that the guards at the hotel are dressed in post-colonial outfits with their their white knee shorts and their
Sorry.
hats, and they're just for all these little moments that remind us that there is this legacy and that this history continues to filter into the culture. um Tell us about that. How did you weave those moments in? Did you go back and weave them in? Did they come organically in that drafting process? Did it come in the journaling?
um, yeah, it it was something that came very naturally because to talk about Sri Lanka and to talk about Colombo is to talk about the way colonialism has impacted us even to this day, especially if you're writing something which is essentially a commentary on wealth distribution and class dynamics, really, which is a lot of what has which sounds so heavy when I say it like that, but which definitely did make its way into the book, because we are talking about a Colombo, we call them Colombo 7, which is like a small subsect of Colombo itself. And we're talking about the community there, which is very much its own little bubble. You see it even right now. I don't know how much you know about Sri Lanka, how much people watching in know about Sri Lanka. But for example,
We're
right now
watching. Yeah.
we're in the middle of this ridiculous like economic
Yeah.
crisis, and you still
Yeah.
see like the 1%, and they're living their lives as if nothing's going on. Everyone's still throwing these grand weddings, and like we didn't have fuel in the country for people to sort of get around. And then you go on Instagram and you see people out partying on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and I keep looking over at my husband. I'm like, how did they get there? Like people don't have fuel to fuel up their vehicles. Like kids are not going to school, businesses are shut down. Like what's happening?
Yeah.
So
I
it was
mean,
very interesting for me. Sorry.
no. We've been seeing, there's been a lot of images lately of people
Hmm.
storming the Capitol, and a lot about the political and the political upheaval going on. So I wanted
Hmm.
to ask you about that. How's it feeling over there now?
It's not great.
Mhm.
There's a long, long, long road ahead of us. The amazing thing about, I feel like, Sri Lankans is that they're very, very resilient. And I think for the first time in a very, very long time, you see a lot of unity amongst people, because this is very much a common problem that's affecting most of, like, 99.9% of us, And it's it's been really heartening to see. We are, I think, by nature, we're always voted in as like one of the top 5 most charitable countries in the world, and that's very much a part of the culture here, is to help everyone else out. So you do see a lot of community camaraderie, like people just lending a helping hand, which is great. But there are significant issues facing the country, especially from an economic standpoint. It started off in 2019 with the Easter bombings that impacted tourism, which is our main source, really, of income into the country. And then when COVID hit, things just went from bad to worse, and it hasn't been, along with a lot of, I would say, financial mismanagement that's happened. It's just been a very slippery downward slope, and I'm just holding out hope that we're able to get a footing soon and can just start working through and looking for solutions, because a lot of people are really, really in a bad way right now. It's very,
Hmm.
very heartbreaking.
I remember when you took the stage to give your beautiful, heartfelt speech on the stage at Thriller Fest in New York in June, and it was very moving. I actually cried. To just see you succeed and thrive in that moment, and to be honored for your wonderful work, but
Oh,
B, to get up there and to say, my beautiful country is going through a very hard time right now, and to hold that space for all of us, to share that moment with us. And so watching the footage now, it can feel very far away, but here you are with us today, here on our screen, chatting with you today about your book, and knowing that you are there, and that that this is a real everyday thing for us. And I think we all need to remember that the world's a lot more interconnected than we might have thought before. So we are holding that hope for you and your beautiful country as you work through
thank
these
you.
issues. Um, and working through a lot of issues of our own over here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda, what I loved about the way that you wove these moments in, though, is that they were just very subtle. You know, but they were there in a way that was felt, that was very powerful. And as you said, you know, as we're sitting here talking about them, it sounds very heavy, but it doesn't feel heavy. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna like have to like, you know, breathe my way through this book one deep breath at a time. It's a thriller. It's fabulous. It's entertaining. As Greer Hendricks said, it's unputdownable. The pages are flying, as Andy Bartz said. But I like it because it's deeper. For me, it feels. I like that deeper moment of having these historical references, of having that emotional nuance. And that is one of the many things that I love and admire about your writing. So I just wanted to really, really honor that and mention it.
Thank you.
I see we've gone over our time, but I wanted to give us that extra time because we're technical trouble. Amanda, what's next for you? What are you working on now? Can you share?
Oh, I really wish I could because I'm so excited about it, but unfortunately, it's not been announced yet. So I really can't. And I'm so terrible. I have this big foot and mouth issue, so I'm afraid if I start even talking about it around it, that I'm gonna end up slipping and saying something that I'm not supposed to say. But yeah, I'm working on it right now, and I'm having just such a blast. You can expect more Sri Lanka in it, I guess I can say. But beyond that, I really can't. Yeah. I'm very, very excited for it.
Well, everybody, You're Invited is out tomorrow, and you're invited to join us in these pages. So here's the link to pre-order. So grab that link, click over, pre-order, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you tomorrow so that you too can immerse yourself in the fabulous, fascinating, fun, tingling, scalp tingling world of Amaya as she heads to Sri Lanka and attends the wedding of her best friend, ex-best friend, and ex-boyfriend. Oh my goodness. BuzzFeed likening your work to Ruth Ware, who is one of my other favorite writers. I just finished reading The It Girl, absolutely loved it. And so it's so great to see you compared to her. Ashley Winstead, author of The Last Housewife, calls the book brilliant, a brilliant dissection of the powers and pitfalls of maintaining a good reputation in a world where influence means everything. Sylvia saying this was such a great interview. Sylvia, thank you so much for joining us. Just lost your. Yay. Thank you so much for joining us. I also wanted to just squeeze in May Cobb because she was just on the show as well, raving this is a roller coaster of a thrill ride that will have you guessing at every corkscrew turn. So all you May Cobb fans out there, we loved having May on when her latest book, My Summer Darlings, came out, and now you can see her fabulous words of praise here for Amanda's book. Amanda, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for persevering through the technical issues and the power issues. It has been such a pleasure hosting you yet again, and I can't wait to have you back when your next book, whenever that is, comes out. We will look forward to that.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Sarah. This was so much fun. As always, it was such a blast. And thank you for being so patient with me with this ridiculous, I don't even know. I was so annoyed, but thank you for being so kind and gracious about it. I had such a lovely time.
Oh my gosh, of course. And actually, funnily enough, May Cobb had technical issues when she was on, and she's in Texas, but she was in and out as well. So what can you do? This is the age of the internet. It happens. Thank you for making it possible. Book Riot, again, calling you brilliant. Oh, and I'm so sorry, I forgot one more thing, which was I take questions and comments in advance from the groups, and someone who couldn't make it live, but who's going to be watching the replay, Erin Henke from the Thriller Book Lovers group on Facebook wanted you to know. She said, Amanda is my favorite author ever. Seriously, I recommend her books to literally everyone on this planet. So Erin will be watching the replay, and so I just wanted to be sure to include her words as well.
Erin,
Yay.
you made my day. Thank you so much. That is so very kind of you. I can't believe it. Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Yay. Well, what a perfect note to end on. Thank you all for joining us live. And for those who will watch the replay, be sure to tune back in tonight at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 and 7 Central, when I will have Megan Golden live from Australia and Zach Bissonette live from LA. Amanda Jayatissa,
Yay.
thank you so much for joining us live from Sri Lanka. And I will see you right here probably next year with your next fabulous book, I'm guessing. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Sarah. Bye.
Bye.